Episode number 5 of the 5 Minute Food Entrepreneur podcast, and we're conducting over the magic of Instagram Live. Today I have a very, very exciting guest. He is Paddy Lynn, and I'm just going to add him here, so this thing is going to go quiet and mute for about 3 seconds. We should be back in now. I've just added Paddy there. So Paddy is the CEO and founder of We Have Chefs, which is a hospitality chef recruitment company that is based in Ireland. And basically, I'm going to talk to Paddy. This is a very chefy podcast, but maybe we'll touch on business as well and get his opinion on that. But and there we have Paddy. How are you, sir?
Hi, Evan. How are you?
Amazing.
Good to see you.
Thanks a million for joining me.
Pleasure.
It looks like it's not the nicest
Cloudy.
day. Yeah,
Cloudy day in County Louth. Yeah. And I believe Galway's getting better weather than us, which is a rarity.
Galway's beautiful, but yeah, there we go.
Great.
We'll enjoy what we
Well, a
can.
good day to
Paddy,
be indoors. So.
exactly that. We're gonna fly straight into it.
Yeah.
I gave you a little introduction there to the people watching. So you are CEO and founder of We Have Chefs, chef recruitment company. Bring me back to the start in terms of beginning that company, and I suppose what sort of challenges did you have starting off?
Yeah, so we kicked off. My brother and I are business partners in the company, and we started operating just post COVID. So I'd been furloughed from my employment in a restaurant in Dublin City, Matt the Thresher's seafood restaurant, which I'd been in for 10 years and loved the job. I needed something to do. So for a short period, I converted refrigerated box bodies into food trucks and built 8 of those and sold them all. So that was fine. But then one day I had the idea for the recruitment firm for chefs. So my brother is a chef, and he was trained by Kevin Thornton in Dublin City. So one of the, Ireland's best chefs, if not, the top of the pile. And he'd been living overseas in Thailand for many years. So my idea was that we would bring chefs from Thailand initially, as it happened, to Ireland. And I knew he would have the connections out there to do so. So first of all, we had to work out, is it feasible? Is it allowed? And what are the barriers to bringing people in? So work permits, visas, nationalities, who can come, who can't come.
Yeah.
And I suppose that was the initial needling out, was to see how do you do the process, number one, and is it a feasible process in that the timeline is not so bad that people are going to lose interest and the clients are going to disappear. So the other interesting part that we had to get a hurdle we had to jump over at the start was my brother wasn't sure whether the skill sets and CVs would translate effectively to the kitchens in this part of the world. I was much more confident of that, and it turned out to be ideal kind of candidates once we got a rhythm going, and we could. Rowan, being the chef himself, can assess a CV very effectively. On this side of the water, I was finding the clients, and because I'd had the kind of long-term background in hospitality in Dublin City, I knew a lot of people in the industry, and they were willing to take a chance on me and my new company. And I suppose that gave us the first kind of foothold.
Okay. And like two guys, albeit you had great experience in the sense that you were from you understood the the job very well. Like starting a recruitment company is a very different business. Like that must have been.
Absolutely. Like I look, I'd handled CVs myself, through the business the years I'd been in hospitality. I was, at manager level, so I was, I could see all the parts on that side
Yeah.
of the, the equation, so to speak. And I Rowan then on the other side was able to assess the quality of the chefs. And so then the last part of the jigsaw is actually the processing, and at the start we decided we would employ a third party to do the processing for us, so then we could focus on the recruitment and
Mm.
the placements. But then that unfortunately blew up in our faces, with the company that we partnered with, kind of let us down. I won't mention any names, but they let us down in a big way, and we had a huge learning curve, in that our business almost failed entirely.
Well,
37 out of the first 36 applications we put in were rejected, that they put in on our behalf.
wow.
So we were scrambling, for our lives, and for our livelihood. And so then once we'd recovered all that, and we were able to recover for almost every client, thankfully, with the assistance of the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment, Damien English at the time, Helen McEntee, were involved. I was knocking on every possible door, to get some assistance. And in fairness, they were quite accommodating, where they could be, obviously all within the laws. So when we got everything across the line, we said, look, that's it. We're doing everything in house. So it was
Yeah.
a very steep learning curve. And it almost defeated us at the start. So there was nothing easy about the first year or so. But once we'd agreed between ourselves, Rowan and I, that we were going to do everything in house. Then we could really focus on the systems, and getting our systems in place, which is what
Perfect.
we've done
Now,
over the next 4 years.
sorry, what year was this, Paddy? Like when you started the company?
2021
Oh, right.
was when we kicked
Right.
off.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like, so since I've been involved in chefing, say 10 years now,
Mm,
um, there's always been this mention of like chef shortage, right? And I'm sure even before
mm,
then, and I don't see any, every year it seems to be the same thing. You
mm.
obviously would have a much better feel for that than me. Um, I suppose my question is, why do you think there has been a chef shortage, for years in this country? And more importantly, what's the trend look like in terms of the future?
The direction. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a hard graft being a chef. There's no doubt about it. And there's very few, places where it's not difficult. And so as I said, I spoke in the Shannon in 2022, in July, to push chefs to the critical skills list. So I put a petition in
Hmm.
with the Shannon, and they heard me. They heard my, they allowed me to present on that subject. And one of the things I pointed out, and I truly believe at the time, is that chefing is a vocation, and you have to want to do it, to actually to take it on as a life journey. And unfortunately, with vocations, the money doesn't tend to follow the dream, because you're a captive audience, so to speak.
Hmm.
It's not always a lucrative journey. It's hard hours. And it's, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it's often much maligned. We celebrate our celebrity chefs, every day of the week, but
Hmm.
I'm not sure we really appreciate that those that do the job every day of the week, everywhere, in every hotel, every bar, every restaurant, every, even to delis, takeaways. There's 100,000 people working, on our behalf, cooking and toiling each day, and
True.
it's not often appreciated. And I think that hospitality in general, just to expand that, is a kind of a Cinderella industry, in that it does all the work, does all the cleaning, does all the providing
Hmm.
of food and entertainment, but doesn't get any of the rewards at the end of it. So it's not. I don't think we treat it as with enough respect as a vocation, as a journey, as we should. But I think hopefully that can change. As we celebrate them more. And people like yourself, sorry, doing social media posts and platforms where people in the industry can express themselves, and kind of get out of the bird cage, which is the kitchen itself, from time to
Yeah.
time.
True. So are you confident that, like, are you confident going forward in the future there'll be more chefs, or
Yeah,
what's your view on that?
there's a bit of we're at a kind of, we're in an unusual turning point, I think, in hospitality at the moment. You know, there's a lot of pressure against, you know, bringing new businesses into play. You know, the costs of running businesses, obviously the well documented VAT rate, you know, kind of standoff, is
Yeah,
causing a lot of friction, you know, in the industry, and it is leading to a kind of disenchantment, I think, with a lot of you know, the people's journey from owners to chefs to KPs to you know, to people on the coal face of hospitality in general. I think that the hotels are flying, and you know, that's a number of reasons, and you know, one of the top being that, you know, they have a very formatted kind of journey for their staff, and you know, there's a clear path to growth, and you know, a plan of action for each you know, each quarter of the year, each season, that kind of thing. So and of course there's plenty of tourists, and as it happens, Ukrainian and, you know, immigrant people who need accommodation. So the hotels are always at capacity or close to, so they're kind of booming. You know, and that's great. But a lot of the time that is causing a knock-on effect in the local restaurants and bars and things like that. So a story, for example, where a couple I knew booked we're looking to go to a town for a gig, you know, to spend the weekend in, I think it was Galway City, your own town, your own city, and they had the whole weekend planned, the gig, where are they going to eat, where are they going, and then there was they couldn't find anywhere to stay, you know. So it's that's pretty critical, that, you know, you can't have people coming into your town because your accommodation is at capacity, and
of
that
course. Yeah.
immediate effect that has on, you know, all restaurants, all hospitality offerings, you know, is pretty heavy. So we're also, the government is considering raising the minimum salary threshold. This is more for ourselves, of
Mm,
incoming international chefs to €39,000 a year, which is a very substantial wage, you know, for a chef, especially entry level chefs. You know, up to obviously kind of Sue point, Sue level, and so that's going to have a crippling effect on, well, partly on our own operation,
mm,
but also on the businesses that we supply chefs to, because they won't be able to afford to pay a chef
of course.
39,000
No.
a year to function. So that
Yeah.
is a bizarre turn of events. That jumped from 30 to 34 last year. In July, 17th of January this year, it jumped from 30 to 34. They're planning to jump to 39 by the end of this year.
Wow.
So that's a 9,000 increase in minimum salary
Wow.
for incoming chefs. So I can't explain it, but I think that we're moving towards an elitist, you know, kind of society, which is, you know, there's benefits of that, but there's also, you know, the lower, you know, echelons of employment are going to suffer as a
Mm,
result. Mm.
very interesting. Let me finish on this one, Paddy. The future of, I suppose, your business, yourself, your own, you know, business opportunities. Where do you see yourself in
Yeah, I
five
mean, look,
years' time?
we're 4 years in. I mean, I suppose we've it's been a hard graft, you know, to get that far. We've established a relatively, you know, a responsible brand anyway. You know, we do what we say we're going to do,
Mm,
no matter what the challenge comes in our face, and there's lots of challenges, as I described a little bit earlier. But you know, we always complete what we say we're going to do. So I suppose what interestingly came out of the whole business was that, in on reflection, you know, we're like a middleman between any industry in theory, you know, because we have the skill set to do the permits and visas
yeah.
so efficiently. We are willing to extend into other businesses, other
Okay.
industries. And
Yeah.
so we have, well, look, we bring in hospitality managers anyway. We've started bringing in dairy farm assistants, and mechanics and HGV drivers. So we've diversified already. So I bought the We Have Staff .com webpage.
Right.
So we're generalizing, I suppose, in a way. I got, we have nurses, we have mechanics, and so, excuse me, the
So
We
if,
Have
if there's if
brand.
there's someone kind of clever out there, they're going to try to buy, we are whatever
Yes, yeah,
engineers or something.
exactly. Yeah, they can take the other ones. Well, I've already looked at wehave.com, which is quite expensive, but
Okay.
not in use. So I suppose, yeah, we're going to push on with the We Have sentiment. One of the best pieces of advice is ever given to me by a recruiter was make sure you always have candidates, so by
Yeah.
having the We Have brand, at least we've covered that first base.
Very good.
So,
Paddy,
so yeah.
it's an
So
absolute
look,
pleasure.
the future is challenging, but optimistic. We'll keep working hard.
Incredible. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so
Great
much for
chat to you.
talking to
This
me.
is
Appreciate
episode
that.
number 5 of the 5 Minute Food Entrepreneur Podcast. Paddy, thanks a
Thank you
million. Chat to you soon.
so much. Thanks, Evan. Bye bye.